Advent. A season of anticipation, a time of waiting, and a promise of hope. For centuries, Christians around the world have celebrated this sacred time leading up to Christmas. But Advent is not just a countdown to the birth of Christ, it's a reminder of the hope that God promises us in every season of life. In the Old Testament, the prophet Isaiah spoke of a time when a Savior would come, bringing hope to a broken world. In Isaiah 9 verse 6, we read, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given." This was a promise that God made long before the birth of Jesus, a promise that he would send his Son to be the light in the darkness. Advent calls us to reflect on that promise. It's a time to pause and remember that no matter what we face in life, God is faithful to fulfill his promises. As we look at the world today, with its struggles, its pains, its uncertainties, the message of Advent is more powerful than ever. Hope is not just a wish or a fleeting emotion. Hope is a person. And his name is Jesus. In the midst of our busy lives and the noise of the world, Advent calls us to slow down and refocus. It challenges us to pause and think about the true meaning of this season, that Jesus is the fulfillment of God's promise. His birth brought hope to a weary world, and that same hope is still with us today. As we light the Advent candles, each one symbolizes something important: hope, peace, joy, and love. The first candle, the candle of hope, reminds us that Jesus came to give us a living hope, a hope that cannot be shaken, even when we face difficult times. Hope that strengthens our hearts and gives us the courage to keep going. When we gaze upon the manger, we are reminded of the humble beginning of the Savior of the world. A child born in the simplest of circumstances, yet he is the King of Kings, the Prince of Peace. His birth was the fulfillment of God's promise to bring hope to all who believe in him. And that hope, the hope we find in Jesus, is not just for us to keep to ourselves. It's a hope that calls us to action. To bring peace to the hurting, to show love to the lonely, and to offer a hand to those in need. When we live out the hope that Christ has given us, we become his hands and feet in the world. Advent is not only a time to remember the past but also a time to prepare our hearts for Christ's return. As we wait in expectation, we remember that his promise of hope is not just about Christmas, it's about eternity. Jesus will come again, and he will make all things new. So as we enter this Advent season, may we hold on to the promise of hope that has been given to us through Jesus Christ. Let us wait with expectation and live with the assurance that God is faithful, his promises are true, and his hope is eternal. Merry Christmas, and may the hope of Christ fill your heart this season and always.